Yes, hello everyone, and welcome back to Against the Fence. This is your tough season 29, and this time it is the last two episodes of the semi-finals, episodes 11 and 12. The last two, as I mentioned, the last two episodes before we get into the final, so they're all important two matchups get into that final. Just before I get into the review, just make sure that you tune in on Saturday. We will be live for Cannoneer versus Gastelum, so please do stay tuned for that. So let's just dive into it then. Episode 11. So whoever wins this bantamweight matchup will fight Ricky Tarkaz in the final. So of Team Volkanovski, we've got Brady Heist with 5 wins and 1 loss versus Vincent Murdoch of Team Ortega, who is 12 wins and 4 losses. Just before I get into little bits and bobs about the show, let me remind everyone that Vincent Murdoch was actually meant to fight in the UFC. He was meant to be, he signed his contract with the UFC, he was meant to fight in the UFC, but before he did have that all-important fight debut with the UFC, he had a brain injury. I did mention this in the last coming episodes. He did have a brain injury, which did stop him from taking that all-important step into the UFC. Again, it's crazy to think that someone's had brain surgery. What do you guys think of someone having brain surgery and now still fighting? Like, there's people out there. There was a guy on the show, I can't remember his name, but there was a guy on the show. He left the show because of a knee injury, and I'm not sure if he could ever compete again. You just don't know with these kind of injuries. But for someone to have a brain injury and continue to fight, crazy. High praise to him for that. Anyway, the start of the show, it all started again. Ortega playing little games on Volkanovski's team. He put a load of snakes in Volkanovski's room just to try and scare him and things like that. Again, Ortega's playing these little mind games. Ortega's been the only one to try and sort of startle Volkanovski in the show so far. He's been the only one with little mind games, with little tricks and traps that he's trying to tease Volkanovski with, trying to get him to bait. Again, trying to get the beef out of each other. But again, Volkanovski, fair play to him. He comes along, dives straight into it, has a little laugh and joke with it. So fair play to Volkanovski. But anyway, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, we've got Brady Heist down to 5-1 versus Vincent Murdoch, who is 12-4. Again, Vincent Murdoch, more experienced guy coming into this semi-final fight. And when we get into the training sessions, Team Volkanovski, he's brought another veteran into his training sessions. He's brought Donald Cowboy Cerrone into his training sessions. That's the second guy that Volkanovski has brought in to train with his fighters. First one was Michael Chiesa. So Michael Chiesa, again, he was the season 15 winner. He got brought in to train with the guys, have a little grappling sessions. Same with Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone had a little grappling, sparring with the guys. Has that been Volkanovski's key to victory? Because he's gone on a 7-fight win streak, but a 6-fight win streak because of this. Crazy, right? Like, is that his key to victory? What do you guys think? Do you think it's that, or do you think it's anything else to do with that kind of thing? But yes, it's definitely played a massive part into his game, because a veteran like Donald Cerrone, you can't go wrong bringing him in after they all had a little spar with him and a little grapple. He did give Volkanovski's fighters a bit of a motivational speech, which they all loved that. Who wouldn't? Hey, if you're on the fight, having a speech from the veteran of Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And then Ortega's guy in Vincent Murdoch got a training session in, but in his training session he did blow his knee a little bit. He blew his knee a little bit, but he was fought through it. Got through the training camp. He still said he's 100% ready to fight. Has a little tweak in his knee, but he's game to fight. He wants to carry on and fight. And then after we had that, we had the coach's challenge. Finally, we've actually had the coach's challenge. We've been waiting all series for this. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of this, but the challenge that these two, Volkanovski and Ortega, had to do was cornhole. Has anyone heard of cornhole? Put it in the comments. Has anyone heard of cornhole? Me personally, I've not heard of cornhole. All right, but that was the challenge. So whatever coach would win $10,000 for themselves, and $1,500 for each and every fighter on their team. So let me just break this down for you before I get into the fight of cornhole, how it works. All right, just quickly, guys, just quickly. So cornhole is you have a beanbag and you've got to throw it into a hole at the end, and there's a platform. If you get it on a platform, you get 1 point. If you get it through the hole, you get 3 points. But the aim of the game is you have to outscore your opponent. So if Volkanovski has 2 on the board and Ortega has 3, Ortega will just get the 1 point. Okay, so it was first to 21. And in the end of it, Brian Ortega absolutely smashed it, beating Volkanovski 21-11. So Ortega won 10,000 for himself and 1,500 for each and every one of his team. Excuse me. And at the end of it, this was a very surprising thing that Ortega did. He come out and asked Dana White for an extra $2,000. And Dana looked a bit puzzled with this. He looked a bit puzzled. And he said, yeah, sure. And Brian Ortega gave all of his money to Volkanovski's team. Crazy, right? What a gentleman. What a gentleman. Gave all of his money to Volkanovski's fighters. Crazy. What a gentleman. So then we move on to the fight. Sorry about that. Just move on to the fight as I get the coaches challenge in there. It's always a bit of fun, isn't it? Both fighters made weight. Brilliant. We get into the fight. So this fight was over before it even started, really, to be honest. Obviously, as I mentioned, Vincent, his knee blew out within the first minute of the fight. And Brady took him down, dominated the fight. And if you do watch the episode, you cannot see Vincent. He can't stretch his leg because his knee is bent one way. You can't see him stretch it out. And it just couldn't explode. Couldn't explode off his feet, couldn't get up. And Brady got the TKO finish in round 1, defeating the veteran of Vincent Murdoch. So that's Volkanovski on a 7-fight win streak for his team. He's won 7 in a row now. That's crazy. He's won 7 in a row. From being 3-0 down, he's brought it back to winning 7 in a row. There we have it. We have the first final matchup in the bantamweight. We have Ricky Tarkaz versus Brady Heist, both of Team Volkanovski, though. Crazy. Both of Team Volkanovski. So that was episode 11. Moving on to episode 12. We got the last middleweight bout of we've got to face Brian Battle in the final, of course. Team Ortega's Trayshawn Gore, who's 3 wins, 0 losses, versus Gilbert Urbina of Team Volkanovski, who's 6 wins and 1 loss. Again, this is technically the last episode of The Ultimate Fighter, because obviously whoever gets into the final will be on the same card as Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. So with Volkanovski, invited his team round to his house for a bit of breakfast, cooked them guys breakfast, gave them a little bit of a day off around the pool and things like that. Had a bit of a chill day. And the same thing for Ortega. And this one's an interesting one, guys. Bear with me. Did anyone know that Brian Ortega has 2 kids? I didn't. I didn't know he had 2. I did think suspiciously think he did have 1, but he has 2 boys. Crazy, right? If you thought he did have kids, please put it in the comments. But Brian Ortega invited his 2 sons round to the fighter house, and they played a bit of games, played a bit of pool, just again like Volkanovski's team, had a bit of a chill day. And then we move on to the all-important, both got the fighters in Trayshawn Gore and Gilbert Urbina. Again, back to work straight away, back in the gym, getting that all-important training session in, because again, one of these fighters could be making it into the final of the Ultimate Fighter. Both got their all-important training sessions in. I have mentioned throughout the whole season of Ortega's little nailed-on, dialed-down talks with his fighter. I do love how he does it. He sat down with Trayshawn Gore. Every little bit of detail that Trayshawn Gore needed, Brian Ortega's team gave it to him. Any sort of weakness of Urbina, Brian Ortega's team had it down to a T. So he came in fully prepared for this fight. Just before that, again, both fighters did get a phone call home, just like the first one that I did forget to mention, just like in episode 11. Both fighters did get a phone call home to their loved ones. Again, that's all-important motivation going into the final, if one of them can make it to the final. Again, both fighters do make weight. Brilliant. What you want. So, we get into the fight. The last semi-final fight. We get into the first round. The first round starts off with Trayshawn Gore landing his jab throughout the first round. It was absolutely a joy to watch. Again, please do watch episode 12. Trayshawn Gore was an absolute joy to watch. He was jabbing Urbina's face off. He dropped him 3 times in round 1. Yes, that's correct. Trayshawn Gore knocked down Urbina 3 times in round number 1 through a couple of heavy, vicious calf kicks. And he nearly finished Urbina in the very first round. Again, once they got back to their corners, Brian Ortega said, like, this fight is yours now. You go in there and have fun. You take your time to finish him. And he does just that. Just like round one, Trajan Gore starts his combos off with that jab. Again, every combo needs to start off with a jab. Starts off with that jab. And he made Urbina come in because he was circling to his right, which was Ortega was telling him to do. Circle to the right, Urbina comes flying in. Trajan Gore lands that left hook and knocks him out clean. Round 2 knockout for Trajan Gore, which means that that's going to be the final matchup. Is going to be Trajan Gore versus Brian Battle, but the overall scores is 7-4 to Volkanovski. He was 3-0 down, and he brought it all the way back to 7-4. I'm just going to show you guys a little clip, okay? Because we're into the last 2 episodes, of course. And I did ask myself a couple of questions. Who did I think would win? And who's my favourite fighter? I'm going to show you guys a clip of my 1 to 3 episodes of who I thought was a guy to watch. All right? So some guys I mentioned is a decent striker, powerful hands. In that fight, used some decent leg kicks. But he is definitely one to watch as well. I tell you that now. He is one to watch on this show. Yeah, you see? Trajan Gore. I said it from day dot that Trajan Gore would be a tear in this in the Ultimate Fighter. And he's proven me right. He's got all the way to the final now and is against Brian Battle, who I think he can... Like, no disrespect to Brian Battle, but I think Urbina is a better version of Brian Battle. So I think that, again, Trajan Gore could knock out Brian Battle in the final. Again, please do... put your comments if you think of anyone's going to win. So just run through it all quickly. So we've got Trajan Gore versus Brian Battle. That's the middleweight bout. And then Ricky Tarkaz versus Brady Heist in the bantamweight division. If there's anyone out there that has been watching the Ultimate Fighter, please do let us know how you think the season's gone. In terms of me personally, in terms of fighting wise, it's been a very, very good season, to be honest. Each and every fight has been quality. There's been battles, knockouts, submissions. There's been everything. Obviously, some episodes of I'm a Fighter, people like a bit of beef between the coaches. Me personally, I do that. I like a bit of beef between the coaches as well. It's what brings it out in the Ultimate Fighter. But we didn't really have any beef between the coaches. Brian Ortega tried his best. He was pranking Volkanovski throughout the series. There wasn't much retaliation from Volkanovski. But again, overall, it has been a very, very fighter-wise decent series, to be honest. If anyone out there has been watching it again, please do let us know if you think anyone's going to win or and things like that. Again, as I started this stream off with, if tune in at the weekend for Cannoneer versus Gastelum, we'll be live at 3 a.m. Please stay tuned for that. We do have a lot more things coming out to our channel. Again, we are against the fence. My name's Ash. Take care, guys.